Utah, 1988. A frozen wasteland. A standoff. A family on the edge of society, armed to the teeth, and a police force caught in the crossfire of faith, fanaticism, and fury. This is the story of the Singer-Swap standoff, a clash of ideologies, a battle of wills, and a tragedy that would leave scars on a community forever. It all began with a man named John Singer, a controversial figure in extreme Mormon circles. Singer believed in living off the grid, free from government interference. But when he pointed a gun at law enforcement, a sniper's bullet ended his life. Or so they thought. Singer's death wasn't the end. It was the spark. His followers were enraged, and none more so than a young man named Adam Swap. At just 17, Swap idolized Singer. He married Singer's daughter, Heidi, and joined the family in their isolated compound near Hurricane, Utah. But this wasn't just a family, it was a fortress. And in early 1988, things took a dark turn. Swap claimed God had spoken to him. He believed that by planting a spear with 9 feathers, one for each year since Singer's death, and detonating a bomb at a nearby LDS church, he could resurrect John Singer. The bomb went off, and law enforcement descended on the compound. What followed was a tense, 13-day standoff. The Singer-Swap family refused to surrender, spouting apocalyptic prophecies and claiming they were carrying out God's will. Negotiators tried everything: cell phones, handwritten notes, even pleas to think of the children. But the family's fanaticism only grew. Then, on January 28, the situation exploded. Adam Swap agreed to surrender, but his followers opened fire. In the chaos, Lieutenant Fred House was shot and killed. The standoff ended, but the cost was devastating. The Singer-Swap standoff wasn't just a battle between law enforcement and a rogue family. It was a clash of ideologies, a fight for freedom, faith, and survival. But in the end, bad choices led to tragic outcomes. And for those who lived through it, the memories would linger, like the cold Utah wind, long after the guns fell silent. But this isn't the only story of survival, fanaticism, and the unexpected. In the forests of Northern California, another tale unfolds, one of sabotage, betrayal, and the cost of extremism. In 1987, a sawmill operator named Name was just doing his job. But when a log rolled into his saw, something went horribly wrong. The blade exploded, sending shards of metal flying. Name was badly injured, his hand mangled, his eye permanently damaged. But this wasn't an accident. Someone had spiked the tree. Tree spiking, a tactic used by extremist environmental groups, had turned a routine day into a nightmare. The media descended, painting Name as a victim of an environmental war. But for Name, the real battle was recovery, both physical and mental. Today, Name has moved on, but the scars remain. He's left the logging industry behind, but the memory of that day, the pain, the anger, the betrayal, still haunts him. Because no cause, no matter how righteous, is worth the cost of a single human life. And then there are the stories that defy explanation, the ones that linger in the shadows, just out of reach. Like the tale of the North Pond Hermit, a man who vanished into the wilderness, only to reappear decades later, a ghost in the night. In the dead of night, a man awoke to the sound of footsteps. Someone was in his cabin, rummaging through his kitchen. But this wasn't a typical intruder. This was the North Pond Hermit, a man who had lived in the woods for nearly 30 years, surviving off what he could steal. When the two men locked eyes, there was no anger, no fear, just a strange, unspoken understanding. The hermit's story is one of survival, isolation, and the lengths we'll go to escape a world we don't understand. But for the man who encountered him, it was a reminder that sometimes, the most unsettling things are the ones we can't explain. And finally, there are the stories that remind us of the dangers lurking in the most unexpected places, like the tale of 3 men who stumbled upon something deadly in the forests of Georgia in 2001. 3 men ventured into the woods to gather firewood. But what they found was far more dangerous: a pair of small, warm metal cylinders. Unbeknownst to them, they had stumbled upon strontium-90, a highly radioactive material. Within days, they were suffering from severe radiation poisoning. 1 man would die, his body ravaged by the invisible killer. Their story is a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the most remote corners of the world, and the devastating consequences of ignorance and neglect. These are the stories that remind us of the fragility of life, the power of belief, and the unexpected dangers that can change everything in an instant. They are tales of survival, fanaticism, and the unknown, stories that will stay with us long after the screen fades to black.